Worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in, everybody. It's Friday. It's Masters Week, and look who is leading at Augusta at the moment. It's a live player. Brooks Koepka at 10 under, 3 under today through 10 holes. Jason Day's making a run. He's 2 under today. 7 under for the tournament, so he's tied now for second with Victor Hovland and John Rahm. Colin Morikawa 2 under today. He's gotten to 5. And one of the great stories, a kid from Texas A&M, an amateur, Sam Bennett, 1 under today, 5 under for the tournament. So is Sam Burns, who's on the course. He's played 2. Wow, exciting stuff, that is for sure. And Koepka on 11 has a birdie putt that appears to be pretty makeable. Wow. J-Mo, I'm not sure if we go back in time, history of picking, just to let everybody sort of in on what's going on here. And now he's 12. Wow. Now Koepka is 11 under, 4 under today. He just birdied the par 5 11, unless those are replays of things that I have not seen earlier, as ESPN is showing the Masters in our studio. Scotty Scheffler struggling a little bit today, so he's somebody's pick. All I know is this. I've got as our shock, so it's double money, Koepka. I've got John Rahm, who's tied for second, hasn't even teed off yet today. I've got Xander Schauffele, who is at 4 under, certainly within striking distance. Wow. I don't know if anybody's ever finished 1, 2, 3 with double money on the shock. Could be a first in the history of the game. Kind of like Tiger trying to catch Gary Player's cuts made number at Augusta, who, by the way, Tiger at the moment would make the cut. He's tied for 52nd, 2 over. Most people think he's got to get probably even to make the cut. And can he do that today? He hit the ball well enough yesterday to accomplish that. However, he didn't putt worth a darn. That's why he was 2 over.
Yeah, it seems like he's got to get I mean, if this 10 under stays, you're right, he has to get around to even par if he's going to make the cut there. It'll be a tough day, and everyone said that the scoring is going to be a lot lower this morning than it's going to be this afternoon, so we'll have to see how that plays out.
Grizz at Milwaukee tonight. We're going to talk a lot of NBA with Andy Schiffman a little bit later in this program. They can clinch number 2. And I kind of think they will, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but you see how many Bucks are being rested today after they clinch the number 1 seed?
Quite a few. They announced even yesterday that Giannis is going to be out. Plus, Chris Middleton, I think, is having something done.
6 guys are resting. Yeah. 6. The Grizzlies should play everybody to clinch number 2, and then the last game of the year, they can sit everybody. Won't matter. I certainly wouldn't want to buy a ticket the last 3 or 4.
Well, but what if we got to go to see that Thunder team clinch a spot in the play-in? That's got to be meaningful for them, at least for those fans, when they play in Oklahoma City. But you're right, this game in Milwaukee tonight could be a little bit of a snore fest.
Well, just even the other night with New Orleans, they're playing for something, and Memphis sits out Ja.
So, overtime game, an exciting one nonetheless.
True. What you are is you just like the game itself, and you think every player can fulfill a role.
That's right.
I think most fans buy tickets to see the stars.
It's true.
To see the best players compete, and you don't get that the last 4 or 5 games of an NBA season once a team has pretty much positioned themselves. Or, and I'd be very careful if I were buying tickets to an NBA game any time of the year now. I'm looking to see where they are the night before. If it's a back-to-back, I'm not buying the ticket. Why would I spend a couple $100 to see backup guys?
It's fair enough, certainly. And you know what? You could spin it. If I could do a little spin zone here, it could be the NBA is just so accommodating. Baseball's just starting. A lot of bandwidth doing that. The Masters this weekend. Maybe the NBA's taking a back seat to rear up for the playoffs and get all those viewers back next week.
You'll notice they did not play Monday night.
That's right.
No games on the final championship game day. So they are cognizant of what is going on. And Silver knows he's got a problem because now they're going to change the minimum games played in order to be eligible for the bonuses that you get in your contract. We're going to talk about that with Andy Schiffman. That will be a little bit later. I invested some time this morning, and I read the piece that came out yesterday that a lot of people have been talking about pertaining to John Morant and a Washington Post investigative story, a 5,000-word investigation. And honestly, there are not very many revelations. There are two revelations, and to me the most scathing aspect is that the Memphis police and the Germantown police just decided that these alleged offenses by John Morant and family and friends were not really worthy of any major consequences. Now, that's debatable. You can argue that. But frankly, I think because of his celebrity and because of the manner with which, for the most part, the offense's seriousness was that they didn't do much with it. That's the most scathing part. Here's the revelations that we learned. We had heard about a security guard at the mall, right, involving his mother, and that he had come, or he claimed to Jalen Rose in the ESPN interview, he had come to protect his family. Turns out there was a shoe salesman, a little 5'3" guy that was taking care of customers, and Morant's mother, supposedly, according to the shoe salesman, felt disrespected by him because he didn't serve her. He served two other customers. According to him, they were in line before she got served. And then he came, and that Ja went looking for him within the store, including places that the public's not supposed to be, and then warned him he would be waiting for him outside. So this guy actually cowered in a supply room for a couple hours till they told him they had to go home. And then he was fearful of his life when he walked to his car because he thought Ja and I believe there were like 9 other people that were involved. Or there were other people because the 9 may come from the Houston high school thing. He was fearful that he was going to be harmed. The other revelation is that Joshua Holloway, who is now a player at Oak Hill Academy and was once coached by one J. Morgan Harder at St. George's. He's the young man who's now filed his own suit against Ja. His mother filed the first suit. That was sort of not accepted. But now this kid has filed his own suit because now he's 18. He can do that. And we find out that he's actually the cousin of Alex Lomax. And Lomax had a text stream that was in the Washington Post story that basically is asking Ja what the heck happened. Why would you strike a kid? And Ja's response was, well, he started it. Apparently, he threw a ball back after a bucket was made or whatever, and it went, whether it was really thrown hard or whether it was, according to Holloway, just thrown back, and Ja missed it. It struck him in the chin, and now it all began. And then later in the Holloway testimony, now he claims a gun was flashed by Ja at the scene of the fight on the basketball court at Ja's house. Now, he never said that initially, and that wasn't in the first one, but it was now in the second. And in Ja's defense of that, He claims that the Holloway kid threatened to light up them. So that's all he said, she said. Basically, what you got here is a 17-year-old kid getting smacked at a basketball game on Ja's premises for a silly reason, whatever it may be. And by the way, his friend then came up after Ja hit the kid. That the buddy Pack, who's been involved in a bunch of this, he also came in and sucker punched him in the back of the head. This is a 17-year-old kid. Anyway. Then it rehashes the Houston high school volleyball game where now there's 9 people involved in this. They all came running. And apparently someone unnamed, and we don't find out who it is, not Ja though, involved in the group when I believe, again, it's the mother who gets into it with other students who probably was, and the sister's involved in this one. And an adult person not identified yet, and even the Washington Post didn't get that, literally slapped a phone out from a person's hand. And that is the worst offense that we have there. And that wasn't Ja who did it. So you get insights to sort of the parent, at least the mother. You get a little more insight into the fight. Is there a gun flash there? And really what you get here is a sense that the Germantown police and the Memphis police, just because he's Ja, gave him the benefit of the doubt. Also, I think the seriousness of the offenses are a part of that as well. This is not a good look, obviously. The league knew about it, did nothing. They did nothing really, even with the Indiana Pacer deal, which was brought up very briefly. No new revelations on that. But it took the gun flashed on Instagram in Denver to really get the league to do something about it. They were aware, according to the Washington Post, of all of this. So once again, I guess celebrity means something. You get breaks if you've got a big name, but I think you have to take into account the seriousness of the offenses. Is Ja coming out looking like a good guy here? Heck no. But would you arrest a guy for that? Would there be more punishment needed for this? Is this worthy of a big-time suit by the kid? I don't know.
I almost view it as exposition for a story that hasn't played out yet, you know? Like, it could go multiple different directions at this point, all of these things. If it continues, obviously you could make the claim there's a pattern of behavior at this point, and if it was to continue this way, then you might see something like you're talking about, something more serious like an arrest or worse. I mean, who knows what could possibly happen. But it seems to me that this story kind of has two ways of going. Either it corrects itself based on the counseling he's been to at this point, or if the pattern of behavior continues, there could be ramifications that are a lot worse than this.
Here's my question for you. The suit was for $17 million, the initial one that got tossed out.
Mm-hmm.
$17 million. Now, granted, I feel bad for Joshua Holloway, even if he threw a ball at Ja. You don't deserve to be beaten to the ground and sucker punched from behind, okay? That should not happen with a kid against adults. Come on. But getting hit in the head a couple of times and having a knot under your eye, is that worth $17 million? Really?
I would say probably not.
No. But again, the look is bad, and it makes the Grizzlies look like enablers, and it makes the Germantown and the Memphis police departments, I'm not going to say inept, but showing favoritism. Those are the worst ramifications, I think, of this whole ordeal. And it's unfortunate. And I don't know how this is going to affect Ja totally through. I mean, he is still a young guy. He is learning lessons. He seemed to be somewhat remorseful, at least in terms of the strip club stuff. He denies a lot of this stuff, saying, when I can talk about the other deals, it'll all be lies. I'm beginning to doubt that aspect of it. That is for certain. In the meantime, the Lady Tigers have replaced Katrina Merriweather. On paper, it looks like a great hire. I will say this. It's going to be hard to beat what Katrina Merriweather did in 2 years. Now, Katrina's two best players probably would not be back anyway. You're not going to see Jamira Schutz is out of eligibility, and Madison Griggs could come back, but I don't think she was coming back anyway, even if Katrina had stayed. So I'm guessing she'll be on her way to probably go play somewhere in Europe. Good enough shooter to do it, and apparently she's a very exploring, a lady who likes exploring and is ready to be on her own a little bit. When they were in Greece last year, apparently she lit up and really enjoyed the history and the whole aspect of it. So I don't think she was going to be back. But we'll see what Alex Simmons can do. So Alex Simmons, you may know her better as Alex Fuller, because she, I believe, won a couple national titles as a forward on Pat Summitt's Tennessee teams in 2007 and 2008. Got married, now known as Alex Simmons, and spent the last 5 seasons as the head coach at Gardner-Webb. 36 years old. Last year, they had a great year. 29-5, won the conference championship. She was the coach of the year. They finished 29-5, and she is parlaying that into coming back into her home state. She's from Shelbyville and will take over. We'll see if she brings any players or what the deal is with that. But, the cover's really going to be kind of empty here. I have no idea. There were some young players with promise. There's a freshman from Jonesboro who could stay or go with Katrina because she's not transferred. There's a forward from Canada that could stay or go. Katrina has taken players in the past. There's one player, Amani Jefferson, who really is their point guard and was the third best player on the team last year. Now, I have no idea. She came with Katrina from Wright State. She might, because of the grad rule, have the ability to transfer. I'm not sure. So all of this, it will take time, but the Lady Tigers have replaced Katrina. I heard Mike Claiborne on Greg and Eli this morning. Greg obviously gone. And he was talking about a couple of the prospects at AutoZone Park. Our friend Brett Norsworthy, who I think is pretty trustworthy on this, has been very critical, as I have been, on the way AutoZone Park looked the last couple of years. And he told me last night in a text, AutoZone Park may not be back to the way it was in 2020, but it is gorgeous. The field looks as good as it ever has. The Jumbotron, he said, was really, really good. So I'm sort of excited. And then Claiborne, I got to be honest with you, talking about prospects got me excited about going to see the Redbirds. And obviously I'm going to do some of the 901 FC games. So I'm excited that AutoZone Park is apparently returning back to its beginning beauty. Because it was the best ballpark in America outside of the major league stadiums when it first opened up. It really was.
Voted on by Baseball America that way too, I believe. It was so even more numbers to go with just our opinions.
Well, it was the most expensive minor league ballpark built at the time it was built. Allie Prescott did an amazing job. All the architects that did that ballpark, they were phenomenal. Rita Sparks was involved in all that. They just did a great job of getting that ballpark built and getting it underway. And then, ballparks get older. It wasn't kept up. That Jumbotron was an embarrassment last year. The field, because of the transition, and this is part of the reason why 901 FC really wants their own stadium, is because when you keep changing over the stadium, the field gets affected. There just seems to be no way around it. And the expense of bringing out that sod every time is like $10,000. It's a huge expense to change over every time. So, I'm pretty certain that the money is going to be there to redo FedEx Forum for the Grizzlies. I'm pretty certain, and I think it will happen after the AutoZone Liberty Bowl game this year, that they will start working on Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. First thing they're going to do is knock down that press box, probably move it to the other side for a year or so for the Tigers, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl game, Southern Heritage Classic, and the Memphis Showboats, who are starting in a week. So it'll be a little bit different then for at least a year as they rebuild the ballpark. That's going to get done. I don't know where the money's coming from for a new 901 FC ballpark. I don't know when they're going to knock down Mid-South Coliseum. All that's still to be determined. But I can't wait to see what they've done, because they've taken their first step they said they were going to do. And I don't know if this is Peter Freund money, if they got some money from the Memphis Sports Council, how it all worked. But it sure looks good, at least at the beginning now of this season. AutoZone Park has returned. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studio, and what is staying is the preseason patio and pool sale. By now, and you get the biggest selection of patio furniture at a reduced rate. Pool season, it's just about here, especially with the temperatures. It's just going to keep going up with sunshine. No more rain for a week. Pool season's here. Get ahead of that summer rush. Special early bird pricing. We got free layaway. There's some financing that could be yours to be had, and you get to be the first on the list. Just get on over to I-40 and Wooden Road and check in on that preseason patio and pool sale at Family Leisure. Our title sponsor, you know by now, that is Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. I want you to go see my friend Vinny Gerard. He's over the Genesis cars. Ask about the deal on the G70. That's the smaller sedan. It's a sports car. It's a rocket. And right now, if you agree to finance with Genesis, they'll give you a $1,000 rebate. Wow. They're paying you to do business with them at Homer Skelton Hyundai. And with the weekend here, don't forget my friend Eddie Connor at the Spirit Shop. Oh, yeah. You want to learn about spirits? Any kind. I'm talking, could be vodka, could be tequila. That degree of sophistication varies greatly. There are some really expensive tequilas. Eddie Connor will explain the difference in all of those things. Could be rum, could be gin, whatever it is. He's got the full assortment there at that little log cabin, not so little inside, right there at Poplar and St. Nick, down from Clark Tower. It's 4848 Poplar to be exact. And wine's the same way. All the local beers, all the local spirits like Old Dominic, you find them all at the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. We take a break. When we come back, we had somewhere in a gym where Andy Schiffman is standing by. He's going to talk NBA with us in just a second.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Have you ever wondered what's inside your air ducts? Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. If you are one of many who suffers from bad allergies, especially in the Mid-South, and would like to improve the indoor air quality of your home, then Choate's Air Duct Cleaning could be a solution for you and your family. Air duct cleaning has been proven to help people with allergies and other respiratory issues by removing buildup of debris from your home's air supply. Air duct cleaning will also help eliminate dust from building up in your house, therefore, you don't have to dust as much either. And air duct cleaning is also shown to help improve the performance of your air conditioning and heating system. Choate's is the name you can trust for all your indoor air quality needs. So call Choate's today at 755-4797 or visit our website at choateshvac.com to schedule a free video inspection to help you breathe a little easier. And remember, Choate's, let our family serve your family.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Used to be an old saying, when you're traveling on the road, you always eat where the truck drivers to go because they know the best places. It's the same general idea if you're thinking of selling your home. That comes from Shell Dunn, Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. He's been privileged on numerous occasions to represent other realtors in the sale of their properties when they had retired from the business or they were no longer in it. This says a lot about what he does for his clients. That strategy, that successful strategic marketing program goes above and beyond to make the most for the clients. That's why he's got the confidence to tell people you talk to 2 or 3 guys or gals, but make sure he's one of them. You can reach him at memphisrelocate.com, or you can call 483-0546. That's Sheldon, 483-0546, or memphisrelocate.com, and you'll need to ask him why relocate is in his email address. It's not by chance. It's because relocation is a large part of the company's business. No matter which way you're looking at it, you want the job done, you call Shell Dunn. We want to know about the NBA. We call our agent in Chicago from Priority Sports. That is Andy Schiffman, who I don't know if he's in Chicago. I know he's in a gym somewhere. Good morning. Where are you?
I am in the gym in Chicago. Dave, how are you?
Good. I got some business questions to ask you this morning, and we can talk a little bit about all the seating and everything else. But I want to start out with the commissioner alluding to, I guess in the CBA, that he wants to change the bonus structures with minimum games played because of all the management loading that's going on to 65 games. Of course, that could be where you play a minute, right? So I think it needs to be specified a little bit more. But that's one step. And then the other thing I want to ask you about, again, back to the bonuses, is that I think it's weird that 100 media members determine the All-NBA team, and if you're in, those top 15, you can get a Supermax. It's really controlled by other people, which seems weird to me. Address those two things, if you would.
Well, to your latter point, Dave, I agree. I've always thought the same thing. I think so much of the NBA is voted on, or it's in the hands of people that have no bearing of who gets to play. I mean, similar to All-Star, right? Like a lot of those reserves are voted on by NBA coaches. Obviously, the starters are voted on by the fans. But in terms of bonuses, as you said, if a player makes All-NBA, first team, second team, all-defensive team, those accolades all have implications on a player's contract value moving forward, depending on the status of that player and the level he's at. And now you have outside media offering their opinion and really driving and being an impactful outside source of what a team now has available to spend on a player and what a player can make. And I don't really think that should fly. I think it should be more of a coach's vote. Coaches, NBA coaches, can be impartial when it comes to that. Obviously, you have to be careful if you're voting on one of your own players because, just think about it logically, right? If you're an NBA coach and you're voting on one of your players to, get one of those accomplishments, first team All-NBA, et cetera, or not, then that has a bearing on the financial situation of your very own team that you're trying to build. So you always have to kind of be aware of those extra layers, but I do think it should be voted internally by the NBA and the NBA people that have a say in all of these things, as opposed to just outside media members. I think media people do know basketball. Obviously, they're watching it around the clock, but I don't really agree, to your point, that they should dictate those things. And then to your point, the first point you made, rather, the 55-game minimum for players being eligible to receive bonuses and incentives and awards, I think it's long overdue. But yes, what does that look like? If a player is at 64 games and there's 3 games left in the season, is he going to check in and start and then be pulled right away? There has to be some resolution of that concern, but I think it's a step in the right direction. And it does many things, right? It incentivizes players to play more games during the season, and obviously it helps the fans. Now, the fans will have more opportunity to see superstars play, where otherwise they might be deciding to rest the game here or there, because now players, like I said, have an opportunity to go out there and play more to receive those bonuses.
Well, what's interesting to me in regards to your last statement is that the players will say it's not on them, it's the coaches or the general manager who's making the decision as to when they're going to rest. They're not going to play on the back end of a
I think the elite level players will have more say and more power to step up and say, yes, I'm going to play, or no, I'm not going to play. And again, the elite level players are the ones that are typically up for those awards.
Right. Well, I hope they do.
Yeah.
I still come back to, I think it's a scheduling problem. If you can't play on the second night of a back-to-back, don't have a back-to-back.
Yeah.
They don't in the
trust me,
playoffs.
that's an ongoing concern among all 30 NBA teams, and especially this year. You know, one thing the league has done more of this year is have not so much back-to-back, but a team will, let's say, come to Memphis and play the Grizzlies. You saw the Clippers do it, I believe. They'll play the Grizzlies 2 nights in 3 days. And I actually like that. I think the players like it. I think what gets tricky is when you have there was one team earlier this year, I believe they played at home on a Saturday night and then flew out and played an afternoon game on the road the very next day. And I think that gets problematic.
I see that. I love the 2 games, 3 days model. Like, even if you're a road team. Yeah, if you're a road team, you get to actually enjoy a city wherever you're at, get to know it a little bit. You don't have to pack up and leave right away. And you do have a day in between of rest, which makes a lot of sense. Like tonight, if you were in Milwaukee and you had a season ticket and they're not playing 6 guys, including Giannis, they're basically giving the game away. So the Grizzlies should clinch the 2nd seed tonight. But who wants to see that if you're a fan?
Right. And I think a lot of the fans may be unaware of that. They're obviously all going to see Giannis. They're going to go see Ja. And a lot of this time of year, in these last 2 or 3 games, a lot of these teams are going to be resting their guys. So, I don't know. It's all a game of chess.
If I were the Grizzlies, I would absolutely make sure I won that division to be the number 2 seed. I would play Ja tonight to win that thing. I don't think there's any question in my mind about that, because now look, if you are the 2 seed, you sit back and wait, and you play the winner of the Lakers and the Pelicans.
Yep.
And
what's
then,
really interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Well, and then you're in the bracket. You're at home, and then you've got a home series if you win, and you should. Between Denver and between Sacramento and the Warriors. You're away from the Suns. You're away from the Clippers, who can be dangerous if they get their guys back. I think if they don't, Phoenix is going to win that series. But
I agree.
I think I'd rather take on Sacramento or Golden State than the Phoenix Suns if KD comes back.
For sure. I think Sacramento's a dangerous team in the playoffs. I would definitely rather play Golden State in a long series. I think the Grizzlies, if you're a Grizzlies fan, I think they could handle Golden State much better. I think you saw that last year. I think they match up really well together. What's very interesting to me is you look at it right now with just 2 or 3 games left in the season. You got the Clippers and Golden State both tied. I think the Clippers may hold a tiebreaker. And then at 7 and 8, you got the Lakers and the Pelicans. They, I believe, are both tied as well. Same records, that is. So there could be some movement here in those 4 teams if we get down to the very last few days of the season. And those teams, we saw it in New Orleans the other night. The Grizzlies had that huge lead, and the Pelicans came back on a huge game by our guy Herb Jones.
Yeah,
35
30.
points.
Yeah,
And they're incentivized to finish the season strong for a little more, jockeying for position, let's say.
since you brought up the Pels, do you think Zion Williamson's coming back?
I haven't heard that he's on the precipice of coming back. I haven't heard that his return is imminent. I do think if they get past the first round, if they win the playing game and somehow miraculously win the first round or extend the first round to 6 or 7 games, I think there's a chance we could see Zion somewhere in there, or definitely more hopeful, let's say, in the second round. I haven't really heard that he's right near returning and he might be back for the play-in game.
Look,
maybe
we've heard
is.
he's
going
to be reevaluated. That's all that you
right. But if
you're
I'll
hearing.
say this: if he is close, let's say he's 90-95%, is it worth it to put him out there for limited minutes just to help you get over the hump in a play-in game, and then maybe rest him for the first game of the 7-game series? I just don't know how close he is right now.
Well, can the Pelicans beat the Lakers if they are healthy without Zion?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
Anthony Davis is playing too high-level basketball right now. LeBron is LeBron. You got up-and-coming young star who's one of my favorite players to watch, Austin Reeves, on that team. But what Anthony Davis is doing recently, I think he was just named NBA Player of the Week. He's been on a tear. And when you have a healthy AD and LeBron with that supporting cast, they're going to be tough to beat if you're New Orleans, at least.
So it does look like we're pretty locked in here. Nuggets are going to win. Their magic number's 1.
Yep.
Looks like the Grizzlies, all they got to do is win tonight. It's over. They're number 2. Sacramento's going to be 3. The Warriors are going to be 4. That's pretty well not the Warriors. The Suns are going to be 4. That's all pretty well set in stone. Do you think that will be the Western Conference semifinals?
In terms of
those 4 teams?
I do. I'm not just saying that because that's where they're positioned right now, but just in terms of talent and resilience and coaching, yeah, I do. I think it's going to be those 4. The only thing I would say is I think you got to watch out for the Clippers. If they're healthy, they're very good, but that's a big if.
Well, that is a very big if. Do you think that Paul George will be back? That was a fairly severe hyperextended knee.
Yep.
And immediately said 4 weeks out before even reevaluation. It's a little like what they were saying about with Steven Adams, who had to get a stem cell treatment. And, the Grizzlies are always tight-lipped. I have no idea if he'll be back.
Right. I think there's a chance you could see Paul. I think there's also a chance you could see Steven in the playoffs. I'm optimistic that you could see Steven in the playoffs at some point. If it's not the first round, then hopefully they get to the second round, and maybe that's when you see him. I think he's closer than people think, but I can't speak for him as I'm not his agent. It's just kind of speculation and rumblings around the league, which I've heard.
Well, you are the agent for Brandon Clark. How is his rehab going? I know he's not coming back till next year, but I see him on the bench. He's smiling and all that other stuff. But is he rehabbing hard? Do you expect him to fully recover for next year?
Definitely expect him to fully recover, but he won't start the season. It's hard to say exactly, and we'll know more of a timeline for return as we get into the fall. But Dave, I think it's probably going to be. I don't think it'll be before January, quite honestly. But his rehab is going well. I think mentally, there's such positivity and encouragement just being in the locker room and being around the team. I think the guys have been great for him, and I think he really lifts up his teammates. So that aspect of it is going to help in the long run because you got to go into the rehab process every day with a positive attitude. That's only going to help. So definitely hopeful and optimistic he'll be back at some point next season, but it won't be the start of the season.
All right, last thing, and it's something Kevin Durant said the other day that I found interesting. He said he's been watching a lot of basketball from the 80s and the 90s when most people thought the league was a lot more physical than it is now. And at the college game, they actually legislated to try to open up the lane so that more beautiful plays on offense could be made, and they wanted bigger scores. And I get that. And we definitely have a lot more offense in the game now than we did back then. He claimed, and I thought it was interesting and maybe true, that they allowed more flagrant fouls to go uncalled, period, back in that day. Do you buy that?
I do, actually. I didn't sit there and grow up watching these games, Barkley and Olajuwon and Jordan and Stockton in the 80s. I kind of started watching that, obviously, in the 90s as I became a teenager, let's say. But I do remember the game being much more physical. And I think players, every defensive possession, Dave, would have their hands on their opponents. And I think that just led to more physical altercations. I think players took a lot of cheap shots back then that definitely went uncalled, and that's when you saw a lot of the fights break out in scuffles. And now, God forbid you hand check a player, you're going to get a whistle blown on you. And then you see players complaining about it, getting teed up. So I do tend to agree with that statement.
All right. Enjoy your time in the gym. We'll be talking playoffs next Friday. Thank you, Andy. We appreciate it.
Sounds good, Dave. Thanks a lot.
That is our agent in Chicago. That's Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. When you want great value, you never sacrifice service. You got to think my guys at the Eflin Insurance Team. Big Tiger supporters, they got the Tiger Roar in their number. It is 901-386-4777, and you do want to talk to them because that's what they want to do with you before you even begin talking about insurance. They want to get to know you so that they can protect you the right way. They want to know who your family is, the members, what you're all about, and this applies for anything. They'll find out what the budget is so they can absolutely protect your family, whether it's home, whether it's auto, whether it's life insurance. If you've got a small to mid-sized business, they're perfect for you for commercial insurance. That's where they specialize. And again, collaborative. They get to know you. They're going to learn about your employees, your product. They'll even forecast out what you're going to look like in 5 years, what your budget is, and then they protect you. Please get a hold of my guys at the Eflin Insurance Team. A little earlier, I mentioned you can find Old Dominick products all over town. You can. You can find their sipping whiskeys. You can find that new Bottle and Bond whiskey. You can get vodka. You can find all the Old Dominick products all over town at all the spirit shops, including the spirit shop of Eddie Connors at Poplar and St. Nick. But there's even more. They got a bar downtown that is a really cool place. You can try their products there or take it a step further. If you got family in town, you got something going on, people are coming in from Memphis in May, you want a different little twist, check out the tour. You'll learn the history about spirits in Memphis, how Old Dominick products are made, where they come from all the way back to Domenico Canelli 100 years ago. Old Dominick's products are terrific. The tour is fun. It's all Memphis. Go check it out next time you're downtown on Main Street, Old Dominick. We pause for a second. We'll come back. We'll give you a Masters update, and then we'll talk Tiger transfer portal with our own Brian Takis. He comes your way in just a minute.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you. Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, April 8th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We will be taking applications, performing basic testing, and interviewing candidates on site. Free parking located at Poplar Avenue and Front Street. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 in relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
A good friend of mine told me about this awesome place for lunch.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Neil's Grill and Bar, where the fat man rocks. Everybody knows Neil.
Where's it located?
It's located in Yorkshire Square off of Quince.
And what's it like?
The best lunch place in Memphis. You know, like real mashed potatoes and gravy. Everything is made from scratch. Monday through Friday, daily lunch specials like Monday baked chicken, Italian Tuesday, spaghetti, ravioli, Italian spinach, delicious fried catfish, fried chicken livers every Wednesday, Friday, Salisbury steak, barbecue chicken, or if you just want a vegetable plate, the best veggies in town.
What about the lunch price?
Meat and 2 veggies, $8.95. Meat and 3 veggies, $10.95. And veggie plate, $9.95. Big fat boy portions, man.
Man, you're making me hungry.
Come hear the best live local music at Neil's. Eddie Smith plays Sundays 5 to 9, Mondays karaoke, Tuesdays Debbie Jameson, Wednesdays Elmo and the Shades, Thursdays John Williams and the A440 Band at Neil's.
Where the fat man rocks.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Oh, Brooks Koepka's on fire. He's now got a 4-stroke lead at Augusta. Masters updates are brought to you by Courage Through Cancer. Courage Through Cancer is hosting their Courage 5K. That's going to be Saturday, May 20th at Shelby Farms Park, and it benefits Baptist Cancer Center. All you got to do is go to www.etcmemphis.org. You can sign up now for the good cause. And again, the Masters update brought to you by Courage Through Cancer. So, Koepka's just birdied the par 5 13th hole. He is at 11 under. Jason Day having a good day, 2 under halfway home through 9. So he's 7 under for the tournament. 4 strokes behind Brooks Koepka. 2 guys that have not teed off yet. Victor Hovland, who tees off at 11:54. John Rahm, who tees off at 12:18. They're both at 7 under from yesterday. Colin Morikawa's 2 under today through 7. He's at 5 under. Jordan Spieth now starting to make a move. He's 2 under through the first 4 holes. He is at 5 under. Cam Young, 5 under. He has not teed off yet. And Sam Bennett, who was at one time 5 under, the young amateur who plays for Texas A&M, he just bogeyed a hole. He's even par today, 4 under for the day. So is Sam Burns. He's even through 5. He is at 4 under. Shane Lowry, Xander Schauffele, Adam Scott have yet to tee off. They are all at 4 under par. It is going to be a shootout today. The weather is a lot better than they thought it was going to be. Again, it's supposed to turn worse. And Tiger Woods, I believe, tees off at 11:54. I hope the weather is good for him. He probably needs to go 1 or 2 over to make sure he makes another cut. All right, let's talk about what's happening with Tiger basketball and the portal. We bring in our guy who is our kind of recruiting expert, and you hear him every day from 3 to 6 on Sports Time with Brett and with Brian Dacus. And Mr. Dacus joins us now. So what do you take about all the Adama Sanogo discussion? Give me your take.
I really didn't know it was a thing until a couple of days ago, and then I started noticing a lot of people talking about maybe the opportunity to get Adama Sanogo to Memphis. I'm not sold on it. I've heard the reasons. Obviously, he cannot make NIL money because he's on a visa, right? A college visa. So the thought for a lot of people is, well, with the Tigers going down to the Bahamas this year for a tournament, that would be a perfect opportunity. We saw that with a lot of guys in the past couple of years. Last year specifically, when NIL was a thing, go down there and do a lot of NIL things to make money. So that's been kind of the main draw about Adama Sanogo. I'm just not sold. I mean, first off, he's not in the transfer portal yet. And I think there's still a thought that he could maybe go to the draft and be a second-round draft. Because obviously for him, he can't make money right now. His family is still overseas, and so he wants to make money for his family. And so I think that's the biggest thing. I don't know.
But here's the catch. He could make money by going to the tournament in the Bahamas. I don't know if UConn's got a foreign trip, but if you, like even Maui, I don't think would apply. That's
right.
But because the Tigers are going to the Bahamas,
but
that actually means he could go, and just for participating in that, they could work it out where he could make a ton of money.
That's true, and that's been the draw about Memphis. But there's a lot of other teams that are going to be in that tournament that you could say the same thing for. So I don't, until he's in the transfer portal, I'm just not sold on it.
Okay, I buy that. What about Caleb Mills visiting? Caleb Mills, the fifth-year Florida State guy who averaged over 13 points a game in the ACC. What are the Tigers' chances with him?
I think the Tigers' chances are really good with him. I mean, I think we've seen time and time again, you can say whatever you want about Penny Hardaway, good or bad, but when he gets guys on campus, he usually gets a commitment out of them. And so I think he's got a handful of guys on campus this weekend. I think this is a guy that he's familiar with, obviously playing at Houston earlier in his career. So I think this is a great a chance to get a guy like Caleb Mills, a bigger guard that you can throw out there. Everyone's been talking about getting a veteran guard. I think Caleb Mills fits that perfectly, and I think there's a really good chance that we get a commitment out of Caleb Mills in the next week or so.
Give me your take on Quays Glover, who is a kid that Penny knows from his days at Knoxville Bearden, who has started at Florida, went to Samford, was supposed to be visiting, is not visiting. What happened?
Yeah, I think the chances to get Quez Glover is probably pretty low right now. The canceling of the visit worries me a lot. I've heard a lot of smoke pointing towards Tennessee, which obviously being a Bearden high school guy, very familiar with that area, and Tennessee would be way closer to home. So I think Tennessee's probably a big factor in that. I think once he canceled his visit, that kind of, to me, said the chances are pretty slim.
All right. Who do you feel good about besides Caleb Mills and Nick Jourdain, who did sign? Anybody that you think, okay, it's right around the corner?
Well, I mean, the other couple of guys that are going to be on campus this weekend, I think you got a good shot with them. Tiafal Leonard from Middle Tennessee State. A sophomore guard, about 6'7", so could play that 3 or maybe even a small 4. I think you have a good chance with him. You also have Mustafa Amzil, who played at Dayton last year, a 6'10" forward. Both those guys are also going to be on campus this weekend, so I do think you have a good chance of both those. A guy that I keep seeing a lot of a talk connecting him with Memphis. I think On3 Recruiting had Memphis as the top destination for this guy, Khalil Ware from who played at Oregon last year, a former 5-star guy
from Little Rock,
Oregon.
He's from Little Rock, Arkansas. Yeah,
that's right, from Little Rock. It looks like Memphis and Arkansas are the two favorites for him. I wouldn't be surprised if Penny could get him to campus. That would be a good addition. A big center that you could rely on down in the paint. Had some problems back at Oregon, but I think I don't think him and the coaching staff were really on the same page. I think his assistant that recruited him left before the season. I don't think him and Dan Altman were really on the same page throughout the season.
So if he's the guy coming, the guy that you were so high on, Ali Khalifa from Charlotte,
yeah,
that would mean he would not be in the mix, correct?
That's right. Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I think you're going to really get one legit big center from this transfer portal. I think Khalil Ware definitely would get a lot of people more excited than Ali Khalifa. I still love Ali Khalifa. I loved what he did at Charlotte. I think he would be a great addition. But I think Khalil Ware, if Khalil Ware wants to be a Tiger, I think he will be a Tiger.
All right. And anybody else that is intrigued? Whatever happened to Jamarian Sharp, the 7'5" center from Western Kentucky? they fired Stansbury, so he's a fifth-year guy. I know he can transfer wherever he wants to go.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that was going to be one of Penny's guys. Obviously, Penny was super involved with him last year when he was in the portal, but not really still kind of committed to Western Kentucky, and ultimately went back to Western Kentucky. I've seen a lot of people connecting him with Missouri, so that could be an option. Missouri's been kind of a hot spot for a lot of transfers because of what they did. Dennis Gates, great season his first year, and I think he's going to be a great coach at Missouri wherever he ends up going after a couple of years. I've seen Jamarian Sharp connected to Missouri. I've seen Caleb Love connected to Missouri. So I think Missouri is going to be another hot spot in this transfer portal where a lot of guys are going to want to go.
Now, this guy, Dennis Gates, has really done an amazing job. There's no doubt. The thing about Sonogo, that little loophole, it just intrigues the heck out of me. But, you've got to figure somehow on the back end, UConn's going to figure out a way to make sure they keep Sonogo. That's just my
figure out
feel
something,
there. Yeah. All right, last thing. What did you think about the Katrina Merriweather replacement in Alex Simmons?
Yeah, I think it's a home run hire. I really like what they built under Katrina Merriweather. I talked about it a lot throughout their season of how impressive it was. 2 seasons and just a remarkable year, a remarkable turnaround. Obviously, a lot of people kind of upset that Katrina Merriweather left after 2 seasons, but at her alma mater, it's hard to pass a job like that up for her. I love this replacement coming in from Gardner Webb. Had 2 really, really good seasons the past 2 years, was undefeated in conference play last year and made the NCAA tournament. So I think this women's basketball program is on the rise. I was worried with a coaching hire of how that was going to affect it, but I think you're still in the same trajectory. I think the future is very bright for the women's basketball program.
I do too. I'll be interested in seeing who she's able to keep and who will not be around. Thank you, Bryant. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Thanks, Dave.
That is our man, Brian Takis. Don't forget you can listen to him and J-Mo today because I think Brett's got the day off on Sports Time from 3 to 6. Whether there's a small clog, maybe a larger mainline sewer drain issue, I know about that because Conway came to my rescue. It's amazing how they figured out where my leak was and everything else that they are fixing. They are experienced technicians at Conway, and they got the latest technology in order to help you out. If you've got a problem with a sewer, they're your guys, and you can take advantage of the 83 or it's free mainline drain cleaning special. If they can't clear it, you don't pay for it. That's so simple. Just call 384-3511. Or you can go to conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. That'll do it for us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the Masters. We'll talk about it on Monday. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer